Hello. Hi, everyone. Let us know in chat if you can hear us okay. Welcome. We are in the middle of day 2 of the Great Bead Extravaganza. So I am hosting a super fabulous guest for our guest presentation. We happen to have with us a real life celebrity. So Emme Rylan of The Young and the Restless, General Hospital, Guiding Light, more than that. She's here with us. So let's bring her on and we can. Hi, Em.
Hi, I'm so
Hello.
excited.
So,
How
Em, what
are
do you have
you?
in store for us today?
Okay, I am going to teach you how to make this granny shrug that I am wearing. This is done. You can do it in a bunch of different versions. This is my lightweight summer evening little shrug I throw on, but I can show you how to make it a little thicker so you'll be able to wear it in the fall too. So this is my project.
Awesome. So, you guys, before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, feel free to like this video if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure to give it a heart if you're watching on Facebook, and share this video with all of your maker friends because you are in for quite a treat. So, and before we get started, if you wouldn't mind sharing with our viewers what materials they'll need to start this project, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Fantastic. Okay, we are going to be working with an 8mm crochet hook and then any worsted weight yarn. So I'm just going to give you a little example.
Awesome.
You can do a solid color or you can change colors every round. So this is great to use up your scraps but you're looking at about 500, 600 yards if you want to do it in a solid color.
Very cool. Good to
and
know
a darning
that.
needle and scissors.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So I'm going to spotlight you and you can take it away.
Right. Oh, I am so excited. I have a ton of information to lay on you right now. So I'm going to talk briefly, but then we're going to make a not smooth transition down to my table and you'll be watching my hands the rest of the way. Okay, couple things that I want you to know. For this granny shrug, I did 10 rounds on my rectangle. This is what I want you to do. In case you're using a light bulky or a light worsted, what I do is I make 6 squares up to row 8. So I have 6 squares, they're up to row 8. I use my stitch markers and I attach them together and I kind of hold it up. And I see, you know what, is this as long as I want it to be? Usually I go 10 rounds. That seems to be the norm. But let me show you this one. This really fun boho. This was a light bulky. So I did use 8 rounds for this. So just once you reach round 8, I want you to try it on, make sure the length is good for you. Then the other thing that you need to know that is extremely important, and this is why I wrote this pattern in the first place. I'm 5 feet tall. Every time I make a shrug, it falls off my shoulders. It's like, why doesn't anyone make shoulder shaping? Is it sitting on anyone's shoulders? So I'm going to show you how to get the right fit around your shoulders. I just want to show you what really is the shoulder shaping. So I do the shaping at the top. I do not do it at the bottom. So I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to show you what it would be like. If you've ever made a shrug, I feel like you've probably had the same issue. So if there was no shoulder shaping, I'd be wearing it like this, which
That
is
looks
super
familiar.
cute. Right? So this is how I would be wearing it, looking like super cute and like trying to be sexy with my granny shrug. But I have 3 kids, so like I want it to stay on. So shoulder shaping, this is life changing. Okay, grab your worsted weight yarn, your 8mm hook, and let's get right down to it. I'm going to grab this off of this stand. I'm going to take it down to my desk. I apologize for any part of this room you accidentally see.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to show the schedule. How about that? Oh,
welcome to the only part of me you're going to see now. All right, let me just get a little bit better so I can see what you see. Okay, I'm just going to hop right into it. I am using the color Ivory. This is Lion Brand's Skein Tone yarn. You're going to make a slip knot. I've got my 8mm hook. Furls, new Rolls Gold hook, no big deal, just like the love of my life. Okay, you're going to put the slip knot on your hook. This first round, if you crochet at all, you're going to be like, why? It's so bad. What are you thinking? Just trust me, for no good reason, trust me. I want you to chain 7. Okay, at this moment, you're like, I'm using the wrong hook. I'm using the wrong hook. This is way too loose. This is not going to look good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The looseness is intentional. I want you to work 2 double crochets into the 4th chain from the hook. The yarn that's on the hook does not count. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Double crochet right in there. So we're going to do 2 double crochet. Now we are making a granny square cluster, so it's good for you to know that 3 double crochet make a granny square cluster. All right, let's take a look at how loose it is. Isn't it terrible? You're like, what a terrible guest. What is she thinking? All right, this first chain, this does count as your first double crochet. So there, that would be your second and your third. Therefore, this is our first granny square cluster. If you are a very experienced crocheter, I apologize. I am going to tell some of these things in excruciating detail because it's just really important to me to be able to teach people that maybe have never done a pattern before. So if you already know, just gonna be stuck listening to me. Next, you're going to skip the next 2 chains. If you can't see them because it's so loose, don't worry about it. Really, I just want you to come down to the final chain right here. This guy, that's where we're going. You're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Did you memorize it? No, don't worry, it's okay. All right, we're going right down in here. First granny square cluster. Now, this video is going to be recorded. You will be able to come back and watch it. I always watch YouTube videos in slow motion whenever I need to, so you don't have to absorb everything right at this second. Okay, there's my first granny square cluster, chain 2. This right here is the most complicated part of the entire pattern. Smooth sailing after that into this hole, next granny square cluster. That's what we're looking at. We have a granny corner right there. I want you to chain 2 and do 1 more granny square cluster. Right there. Look at that hole. Look how giant it is. It's totally ridiculous. Now, if you've made granny squares before, you know that everyone has an opinion on how to make them. So anytime you're watching anything involving any type of granny square, it's really just that person's personal preference. Granny rectangles are the same way. I've watched a million videos. I've done them a bunch of different ways. For me, this is what produces the best looking result at the end. So that is the end of that rectangle. In my written pattern, it will say skip the next 2 chains. A lot of times I can't even see what this looks like anymore. So really, again, what you want to focus on is you're just working into this last hole. You're going to do 1 granny square cluster, chain 2, 1 granny square cluster, and chain 2. Okay, there's that first granny square cluster, chain 2, do it again into the same space. You're going to start to kind of work over that initial chain. Don't worry about it. When it's all tightened up, you can't tell. Let me finish that granny square cluster, chain 2. Wow, isn't she beautiful? No, she's not. Don't worry, she will be. Okay, we're going to slip stitch to join. We are not going to slip stitch into the chain. I want you to slip stitch into the top of the first true double crochet that you did. So right in there, not the chain, the stitch right after that. You're going to slip stitch. Bring it through. You're going to breathe. Cut your tail. Chain 1, pull it through. What an absolute nightmare. Let's make it beautiful. Okay, if you've made granny squares in the past, you know you have about 4,000 ends to weave in when your project is done. So I have a little trick that I do that will cut that number in half. Take your tail. We're going to work it across. In the next stitch, in the back loop only, go in, grab the tail, and just keep going. I could stop here because the next stitches will lock that in, but since I have a nice long tail, I'm going to take it across the corner. It just makes me feel better when the tails are kind of held down by a ton of stitches. So I'm at that corner, go in, and then for the last one, I want you to flip it over, and you're going to work into that same back loop, but I want you to pull the tail towards the back. I always do that just in case at any point in time, if it peeks out a little even after it's been trimmed, it's at least aiming towards the back and not towards the front. That's it. That is round 1. She is a hot mess. Normally, I would weave in my ends and the center of my squares or my rectangles at the end of my project, but just for the sake of us not having to look at this, let's go ahead and do that right now. Again, I'm kind of going into detail about in the beginning because this is the most important information. It's not going to, and we're not in an 8-hour tutorial. Don't worry. All right, let's get the yarn on a darning needle. All right. So what I want to do is tighten up these circles. I'm looking at the back, got my yarn on the needle, really simple, just going to work it through here. You see, just coming up, bring it through. It almost gives you that like magic ring effect where you get to just pull it a little bit tighter. Already getting a better shape. Okay, so you're going around that whole first circle. Don't make it like the whole way closed. Just want it to have that nice little oval. We're coming over here. Now we need to make our way across. So I obviously can't do that or you would see it. So I'm just gonna like really gently come through that chain. come through again. Already makes it look more even. I like to flip it over and make sure I don't have any crazy pieces bulging out the back. And then you're just going to do the same thing again. You're going to work your way around and then you're done. Then you can tighten it up. You can weave in that end. Since I imagine you're not making this project right along with me right now, I can tell you that I highly recommend making all 6 of your centers right now. When you start this project and you kind of get this is the most work, get all 6 done, because then you just get to have fun kind of picking colors and you don't have to do all this tedious work. All right, so what we're looking for, see how it looks so even. It's so much better. I like to bring it back across. Let me not get too excited and have it look crazy. Okay, my little thing looks good. I'm gonna bring it in here and then I'm gonna move on. Okay. It's still not what we're used to seeing with a granny square, but don't worry, it's gonna get better. I'll give you an example. Wait, let's see. See, once we have the stitches working in, it's going to make it all good. Okay, for this version, I am changing colors every time. I want to show you what would happen if you want to make a solid one. But let's go ahead and do round 2 together. This is how I do round 2. I make a slip knot with my yarn. I insert my crochet hook, and then I put the slip knot on. Kind of give a little tension right there, bring it through, chain 1, chain 2, slide it over, lift up this tail so that you're working your stitches across it. We are in what is essentially a granny square corner, which means there will be 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet in every corner. This chain counts as your first double crochet. So that's 1. Do 2 more, working over that tail. Chain 2, 3 double crochet. I promise I won't do all the rounds with you. Okay. This is what you're going to do. Make sure you can see it in the light. You are going to do this in every corner of every round. The spaces that are not corners. So we have a granny square cluster and a space and another cluster. You are going to put in here 3 double crochet only. So 1 granny square cluster. Like this, I'm going to lay this guy out really quick and just show you. Hold on, I started pinning them together. Here's my loose one. Okay. Granny square corner, individual, corner, corner, individual. So for every round, once you can make a corner and you can make a single cluster, you can just keep going as big as you want. Nothing changes, just where the corners are and how many of these individual guys you have to do. All right, let's finish this row so that I can show you what will happen if you don't change colors. Also, right now I am using the color Adobe by Lion Brand Skein Tones, and I feel like it's a little dark in my video, but oh my gosh, it's like so cinnamony and spicy and ugh, so pretty in person. I love it. Okay, slide over. I'm working into a corner. This is the part in my, when I write patterns, I give a full, from beginning to end, I do the entire project with you. And this would be the part where I like mute it and pick up the speed so that people don't have to, you know, listen to me just blab, but you're trapped. Okay, corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Get some slack. Do we chain 2 again? That is an excellent question, Caroline. No, let me slow down and I will discuss that. In the corner, you will chain 2, right? There you go. That's my first cluster in the corner. I chain 2. Then I work another one. This is something else that really varies with everyone that uses granny clusters, how many chains go in between all of them. There's no right or wrong. It's always personal preference. All right, so what does that mean in between? So we know that we chain 2 in the corners, but as we're going along, right, you do a corner right here, you got to make it to the next spot, and the next spot, and the next spot. I do 0 chains in between the clusters. So the only chains you are doing is in the corner. So I just finished that corner. I'm heading over here to do a single granny square cluster, no chain in between. Because I'm using the big hook and the worsted weight yarn, it doesn't, the fabric doesn't pucker. Like, see how it has enough stretch that it really doesn't need the chain. Actually, when I did it with the chain, then the fabric started to get a little wavy. All right, we're at our last corner. 3 double crochet. Chain 2. 3 double crochet. Okay. We finished round 2. Every single time for every round, you're not going to slip stitch into this chain. There's my chain. Just kind of mush it all up so you can really see. I want you to not slip stitch into the chain. Because we're in, why, for everyone that I'm sure is used to slip stitching into the top of the chain, because we're using an 8mm with kind of yarn that's usually calling for like a 5.5 or a 6, it just leaves a gaping hole. So that's why I'm not going into the chain. So you're going to go into the top of that second double crochet, the first true double crochet. So we're going to slip stitch. Every time you want to change color, you'll cut the yarn. You'll cut the yarn, you'll pull it through, you'll weave the yarn across the top, and then you'll join your next color. If you do not want to change colors, or you want to do something like this, hold on, I have worn this bad boy into the ground. I apologize if there's just a ton of fur. Okay, so I did 2 white and then 2 black. I did 10, did I? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I did do, okay, I thought so. 10 rounds on these rectangles, and I only change colors after 2 rows. So if you do not want to change colors, don't cut the yarn. And then we're going to walk over to the corner. So working into, yay, thank you, Heather. Okay, into the back of the next loop, you're going to do a slip stitch. That kind of brought me over a little bit. Then I'm going to go into the corner, bring up the yarn, and do another slip stitch. Just making sure you can really see this. Okay, so from the front, when you're looking at this, you managed to make your way from here over to the corner without making any sort of gigantic noticeable stitches. It's nice and flat. No one would ever know. And this is one less end you will have to weave in. So I always like to start every round in a corner. So I didn't change colors, but I'm still starting in the corner. I'm in here. I'm going to chain 2, which counts as my first double crochet, and then do the full corner in here. I'm just going to do it really quick so you can see what it looks like. So when I make this solid, I never cut the yarn until the square is done. So there you go. And then you would just keep going around. That is if you do not want to change colors. You walked using the slip stitch. You walked over to the corner. Because I feel like I didn't really get into it clear enough, I just want to say one more thing about changing color. Okay, let me get back on the hook. Come over here. All right. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that double crochet. I'm going to chain one. I'm going to pull my tail through every single time. Take this extra 15 seconds, walk my tail across, flip it over and add a corner. So I only have to do a couple. Right, there we go. Okay. Changing colors. I feel like I just went from round 1 to round 2 without like really giving my thoughts on that. And you know, oh my gosh, thank you so much for saying that, Melanie. That's really sweet. Okay, please always message me if you have any questions. Using frost. Okay, new color, making a slip stitch. I want you to start every new round in a corner, any corner, except for the corner that has the tail in it. I just don't like it. There you go. That's my excellent reason. I don't want to have, it would not be the end of the world. It's just, I don't want clumps of tails, you know, in the same spot. Okay, let's space it out. So pick any other corner, insert your hook, put your slip knot on after. I don't feel like a lot of people do that. I just love to do it. Give it a little tension or it'll run away from you. Chain one, chain two. And then you know what to do in each corner and what to do in each single spot. I just wanted to make sure that I had really talked about my feelings about not starting on a corner that has a tail. Let's see. You're going to make 6 of these. We're not going to do it together. Otherwise, we're already at the half-hour mark and we would be in like serious trouble. So we're going to make a miniature shrug right now. Hold on, let me make sure everybody's happy. Look at me. I was like, I'm going to pin it ahead of time. Just kidding. That might have made it. Okay. Oh my gosh, where did I get this hook? Thank you. All I want to do is talk about this hook. Furls just released it. It's rose gold. I think I've died and gone to heaven. I think it's like $22, not an ad. I'm just obsessed with it. All right, we're going to lift up a little bit. Yes. Oh, good. Yes. And let's talk about the tails. I will cut a couple of those. I've shown you how to do the center. You know how to do that. Shown you how to change colors, how not to change colors. That is the most information you know how to do the whole way up to round 10. So you're going to get to round 10. Well, I did tell you to make each square up to round 8 and pin it together, which I would like you to make sure you like how long it is. But let's say you have done that and you've decided I want 10 rounds. You will lay out your rectangles. It's hard, and it's why I'm showing you mini ones, is that when they're gigantic, it's huge. So I wanted to be able for you to be able to see it on camera. So you're going to lay all 6 out. Let me see if there's any. I get really excited and start cutting those tails. So let me see if there are any that I didn't do that to. There's got to be one. I got all excited. Let's see. Oh, okay, good. All right. Really quick, what I do with the tails. Oh, look at that. I broke my own rule. There's 2 tails in there. My children must have been talking to me at the moment. Okay, so you've always ignore this abomination. Okay, so I'm looking at the peach color. Can you see me on camera? Okay, so the bottom of your color, that tail has not been woven in. That was the beginning. So this guy is going to need to go on a darning needle, and it's going to need to be properly woven in. The bottom of the color. The top of the color is the end of the row. It's at the top. You know you wove him in. You can just go ahead and cut it. So I go through and I cut. Is there anybody else? I think I got all excited last night and, oh, no, I didn't do this one. Okay. So here we go. This is the honey color. That guy can go. This one's going to have to be properly woven in. So you'll be able to cut half of your tails. The other half you are going to have to weave in. I apologize. Okay, now this is the next important part. All right, I've laid my 6 granny squares out. Make sure, if this feels like this would, go without saying, make sure that you have them long ways. I definitely had one turned wide ways and managed to seam it together. It wasn't as clear when they were gigantic. So this is how I want them to be facing when you start seaming. You are seaming across the back. So you're going to go across here, and across here. When we are done with that one line, then you're going to come to the top. You're going to go across there, and then you'll have your huge rectangle, and you'll be ready to take shape into a shrug. I'm going to use this Artengo. Yes. How do you know your scissors are a good fit for you? That's why I want, it's not even just personal preference on size. I make these in so many different weights of yarn that sometimes it just, the way the yarn looks, 8 rounds looks better with that yarn. So this multicolor crazy boho one, I did 10 rounds and it was just too much. So make your 6 squares and then do this, pin them together and try it on. I know that step seems annoying, but it's amazing. As soon as you drape it over your shoulders, you're like, this is way too short, or this is way too long. All right, I want you to make a slip knot, and this time we are going to put it right on the hook. Let me make sure I'm close enough. Now that you can see kind of where we're going, I'm going to come down really close because I am doing a granny square flat join. I love it so much. All right, you're going to take your yarn that you're seaming with and you're going to put it away from you. It's literally going in between the rectangles. I'm going to pick this guy up. I'm looking. Got the 1, 2, 3 double crochets of that first cluster, and then we have the chain. The second chain that came right before that cluster. I want you to put your hook into the back loop of that chain. And I want you to come over here because we're joining them together. 1, 2, 3, find the tops of your double crochets, and there's your chain that came right before that. And I want you to put your hook into the back loop of that chain. Man, there's so many different ways to join granny squares, and this is truly my favorite from a design perspective because you can just have so much fun with it. All right, both of those loops are on there. Your yarn is underneath and back, underneath. Wrap the yarn. It's going to be a little weird for the first one. You have to kind of like hold on, bring it through everything. It's a slip stitch. Breathe. Okay. Every time I work my way across, I am going to alternate which side I do first. It does not have to be exact. If you kind of forget which one you were on, it doesn't matter. So for this, I'm going to go to the right back loop of that stitch. See, we're just going into every single stitch. So here's the next one, back loop of the left side. Wrap your yarn, bring it through everything. I started on the right that time, so now I'm going to start on the left. Back loop, back loop. Wrap the yarn, bring it through everything. Right side. I literally talk out loud when I'm alone doing this. Right, left, left, right. Usually you just do the same side. I'm going to lay this down and show you why I alternate. I have no idea if I did the left or the right. It doesn't matter. As long as you alternate the majority of the time, it does what I'd like it to do. There we go. But I definitely, like, it's not exact. All right, let's lay it down and look at it. I intentionally used a contrasting color so you could see it looks so pretty. It is completely flat. It's completely flat. So if I only go into the right side the entire way across, my gorgeous chain that I want as an accent hugs the top square and I get this. When I'm wearing it, if I alternate, I get an even little ladder that it goes up. Again, it doesn't, I just don't want it to hug one side or the other. Now, I'm going to move a little bit faster because I want to show you what you do at a corner. All right, see, it doesn't matter what I just did. Like, you don't have to write it down. Just that, like, that might have been two rights at the same time. Okay, that one's left. Across. My next one I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do all black and do neon yarn as the seaming. So my seaming yarn is usually what I do like the ribbing, the border with, and what I do the sleeves with. I mean, seriously, you could make 1,000 different versions of this. And I love a shrug because it's quick and easy and isn't too warm. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end. Can you even, like, how many people make granny squares and just Google how to join my granny squares and everything is always different. Look how flat that is. This just like changed my life. Okay, no big deal. Slightly dramatic, yet absolutely true. All right. Here we go. Thank you, Kim. All right, I'm not done with these double crochets. I want to make sure I got through all of them. So look on both sides. Okay. Switching, adding, attaching the next side is basically exactly what you did in the beginning. I like to pin them together just so it's not sliding out of control or stretching my yarn. That's why I have it tacked down. So I'm looking. 1, 2, 3. There is my chain exactly the same. Bring it over here. Look at this side. 1, 2, 3. Exactly the same thing I did at the beginning. Okay. Now, when you're kind of doing that and you're messing around getting to the next stitch, look, this guy gets all gigantic. I don't want that center to be noticeable. So make sure you tighten it up. Not crazy tight, just the same tension you've been using. Get it on there. And breathe. I have to remind myself to do that every time. All right, I'm just going to go past it a little bit. But basically, this is what you're going to do the whole way across all 6 squares. Right, left, left, right. Okay. All right, let's look at how that joint. That was pretty good. Like, it didn't stretch out too much. Having this pinned really helps. That's it. I want you to do that the whole way to the end of the round. When you get to the end, you're just going to cut the tail, chain 1, pull it through tightly. I wish I could do every single second of this with you right now, but I want to make sure I hit all of the most important points. Now I am going to cut this. Do I recommend a contrasting color? Use the same. I have done both. It doesn't make a difference. It just depends on what you're in the mood for. Let me show you this. So for this guy, it's well, and under this lighting, it looks even more of a contrast, but in person, it's actually very, very subtle. But it doesn't, it's really just what you're in the mood for. When it's the matching color, it still looks really, really good. It doesn't look like too bulky or anything. All right, so let's just pretend like we went to the end, and then you've gone the whole way to the end, right? You've got this big, long, gorgeous rectangle. Now you're going to turn that rectangle sideways. I've got to show you how to go across that corner. 18 minutes left. We can finish this in 18 minutes. All right, you're going to start it the exact same way. You're going to put your yarn away, and it is going to go over that. I'm going to come over here. Oop, I'm going to put my yarn on my hook. I'm going to go in here. I want to get to that center point. Make sure 1, 2, 3. Oh, make sure my yarn's in between. There we go. I'm competing with a little tail right here, so ignore him. All right, now we joined the same way. We're going in. I got tails. You know, it's funny, and in my full length tutorial, I talk about this side that I'm going through right now is actually a side that was a slip stitch to end, and it's a little bit trickier. I mean, it works. It's just not as fluid as when you just have stitches. All right, making my way down. Left, right, right, left. Take a look. Going fast, but it still looks good. Yay. Okay, so close. We're going to talk about how to get over that without it being hideous or a giant bump. Here we go. Left, right. Now, this is where it gets weird. I only have two left. I'm actually going to remove that stitch marker now. Keep that yarn in between. Go in there, go in there. It feels really weird. Just make sure that you pull that tight. Nothing has changed. It just feels weird because this is kind of crowding us. I'm going to come over to the left. Keep that yarn there. I'm going to come over here. Oh, I got a tiny little chain right there. Hold on. That might be a slip stitch. There we go. Okay. So as long as you kept that yarn behind, bring it through. All right. Now we've come to the end as if that other seam wasn't there. So we need to hop across. So I'm going to figure out where I'm going to work into. 1, 2, 3. We want it to be pretty even so that our granny square clusters are in alignment, not like that. So I see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to pick this little chain. So when you go in to that chain, back loop, make sure you get that yarn in between. And I'm going to go into this chain. So while I'm doing this, this guy is enormous. Oh, where is he at? Okay, see, huge, out of control. We're going to pull it tight, not too tight, just the right stitch size, slip stitch, and bring it through. Now I'm going to go a couple so that we can really see if that worked. The goal is to just not draw any attention to that center point. How do we keep it flat the whole time? One more. Okay, let's see. The only little thing I see is I think I've got a tail that got wrapped up in there that I can fix later, but it is still flat and you don't have a giant hump. Okay, you are a success. We're going to cut this tail right here. Let me pull us back up. All right, I want you to imagine that this is all together. Let's use stitch markers. This is how you will stitch it together when you're trying it on. Bring this guy over here. These are those Cocoa Knits metallic stitch markers. I love them so much because they glide on and off, not an ad. I just like them. Okay. All right, we're almost there. All right, you've gone the whole way across. You've gone up here. I like to go the same direction. So when you hop over to do the next seam, you're going to go up right there. This is the outside of your fabric. You know, because this is what you're looking at when you're looking at the chain. So when you flip it over, right, this is the hot mess back of our fabric. To make the shrug, you are going to fold in the sides of the rectangle. And put a little stitch marker right here. I feel like my pug could possibly wear this little shrug when I'm done. Oh, let's see. Here's another stitch marker. All right, so you're going to lay your pieces out, weave in that end. What is that? You're so close. All right, more seaming. I'm so sorry. You're going to turn your work this way. I start my seam exactly the same, the granny flat join, and you are going to join it up here. I will show you on a human size one what it looks like. This is what I do every single time. I put a little pin in what I think will be the armhole size. With my his name is Buddy Bear Birthday Cake, and I am definitely making him a shrug. So I sometimes want a really, really tight armhole, a tight sleeve. So I'll like, you know what? I'm going to put a pin right here, and then I put it on. And then I say, just kidding. My arm is not that small. And then I go up and I pin again. You're going to do that over and over until you figure out what's comfortable for you. For this shrug, I wanted it to be nice and tight. I wanted to be able to push it up and have it stay up. So I'll show you on the big one. So here we go. So I started my seaming right here, and I gave myself 1, 2, 3 granny square clusters. That's how big. I put a little pin in it, and I did my seaming up to there. Then you'll put the sleeves on later. So that is the next step in terms of you can't seam this spot until you check and see how big you want your armhole. So you go ahead, you pin it on that side. You're going to flip it around. You're going to make sure you match 1, 2. So for this little guy, 1, 2. This would be my matching armholes. And then you're going to use that same flat join up to there and the same one up to there. I want to make sure that you have every bit of information to be able to finish this project. So I'm not going to demo that part for you. I'm going to go right into The only other most important part of this pattern, the first was how to get the rectangle. The next is the neck shaping. So you are looking at your shrug, just like this. Let's see, this is my bottom. I've decided this is my bottom. Sometimes I'll tie like a little bow of yarn, of contrasting color yarn to the top, so I remember. So you're gonna flip your work over. You have your bottom piece. Here we go. So this is the yarn that I want to do my border in. I'm looking at the bottom square. Kind of just pick any one of these little double crochets to go in. I put the yarn on the hook, go in, chain one. All right, working into the same stitch you just attached, and the chain does not count as anything, you're going to do a round of half double crochets. Here's how the pattern's going to go. One round is going to be half double crochets. Round two is single crochet. Round three is half double crochet. Round four is single. So it's a 2-row repeat. Half double crochet, single crochet, and then just repeat that again. For the first round, you are not going to do any decreases. So the neck shaping is not, this would already be seamed together. Let's use our imagination. There we go. So I'm looking at important things for you to know. When you're working this border, you are in fact looking at the right side of the fabric. Now I'm going to keep going. So for round one, we don't do any neck shaping. I start that in round two. Hold on, I want to show you where it starts. So if you were writing this down right now, most likely rewatching it and writing it down, I want you to write round one, half double crochet into every single stitch the whole way around. And then for round two, I want you to start at the same point and do single crochets. Regular, just single crochets, no decreases until you reach your armhole. All of the decreases are going to be worked from the armhole across the back and down to the other armhole. We want to pull this in, and then we do not want to pull in the bottom. I just don't need it to hug my butt. That's all I'm saying. So you will do single, so half double crochet around, then start here, single crochet. When you get to the armhole, 3 single crochets and then a decrease. 3 single crochets, decrease, 3, decrease, 3, decrease. Go the whole way around until you get to here. Then go back to single crochets. So at that point, you have 2 rounds done. You've done the half double crochet, you've done the single crochet that has the decreases. Try it on. If it is hugging your shoulders after only 1 round of decreases, you're good to go. You don't need to put decreases in any other round. So the goal is that every round you do decreases until it fits your shoulders. If it fits your shoulders after that very first decrease round, then you'll do a round of half double crochets, no decreases, a round of single crochets, no decreases. If you're like me and nothing will stay on your shoulders, I have to do it in all 3 rounds. Round 1, half double crochet, no decreases. And then I will do the same thing for the single crochet round, the half double crochet round, and the single crochet round. It will always go 3 half double crochets and a decrease, 3 decrease. You're on to your next single crochet round, 3 decrease, 3 decrease. This is an enormous amount of information to throw at you. I thank you for making this along with me. I am here to walk you through anything you need. We're going to talk about the sleeves next. I'm going to bring up the human size shrug. Let's see. All right, here, let's just take a look at a couple things. Come up here. So what I want is for these decreases. So I did 4 rows, right? And in row 2, row 3, and row 4, I did the decreases. It gave a nice, even shape. It didn't pucker. I actually tried to decrease in all 4 and it started to get wonky. If I want this to be wider, like I know this fits my shoulders perfectly. If you want like a nice big border, just keep doing that 2 round repeat. Round of half double crochets, a round of single crochet, round of half, round of single, and just keep going. Don't keep going with the decreases, but you can continue once you're at that right size, just keep adding rows and it'll look so good. So okay, so that is how we're doing the shaping. Coming over to the sleeve, I got to tell you, I like people to tell me exactly what to do. Pretty much in general in all of life. Can someone please tell me how to be an adult? But so I know that when I say, I just want you to try it on and find out what's good for you, that may make you want to scream and go running. And I totally get it. But with these shrugs, it's just the way it has to be. Because like for this one, I wanted this teeny tiny little sleeve. So you tried it on, you pinned it, you figured out the armhole size that you wanted, and then you seamed up to here. So for me, so what you're going to do is the same pattern without the decreases, the same pattern as our ribbing, our border. It's half double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, single crochet. So I did 4 rounds and I went ahead and just did it into the top of each. You've got like a granny square cluster. So you've got 1, 2, 3 spots. So I went across one side until I got to the middle and you count those. So for me, it was just 9 stitches. Then I worked 1 right into where the seam was. So that was number 10 for me. So now I know that on the other side, I need to do 10. So I came down here and I did 9 half double crochets. And then I did a 10th one right into this seam. I had 20 stitches. Now I know that's how big the sleeve for this shrug is going to be. So then at round 2, I did 20 single crochets. Round 3, 20 half double crochets. Round 4, 20 single crochets. Write that number down because you most likely are making a second sleeve. I will often just kind of like wing it and I'm watching Netflix and then I get to the other side and I'm like, my sleeves aren't the same size. So now I knew it was 20. Let's take a peek at the shaping on this other guy. Can you even? I feel like I like to really pre-plan everything. So I just feel like such a free spirit with this one. Look at this. Look at how that color doesn't match anything. And I did it. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, so for these rectangles, I didn't change color because there was enough action going on. For the shaping, the first round, the half double crochet, I did in the pink. And this is just an example of all the different ways that you can get different looks with this. And then I stuck with those for the rounds 2, 3, and 4. I didn't put my sleeves on yet, which is really funny because I've 100% been wearing it out. I did I did single crochets around, but I made it really loose and I've been wearing it with the tails. No shame. Oh, take a look at that. Look how pretty and flat. Ooh, wait, I can show you one more thing. Where are we at? We're at 1 hour and 2 minutes. Oh my gosh, I'm usually so much later than that. Okay. No, I'm cut off. They're cutting
you're
me
good
off.
on. No, you're good on time. I just wanted to pop in and tell you you're good. You can go a little over.
Okay, thank you. I got permission to go over, guys, because they probably knew. All right, this gorgeous girl that is the first one that I made that I free-handed, I single crocheted my rectangles together. I'm not mad at it. Actually, I love this thing. I wear it with black jeans. I wear it when we go out, but it has to be an intentional choice. When I did this, it wasn't an intentional choice. I just didn't know any other way to join my squares. So it's gorgeous. I think that it works for this. I just held my rectangles together and I did just single crochets across. So that's an option. It does give, I'm going to see if you can see, it does give a bump, right? It's not flat. Did I even put a sleeve on this one? Oh, much bigger, way bigger. I swear I never weave in my ends. Really big, because that was what I was in the mood for. And I did 2 rounds. And when I got to the 2 rounds, especially because I was using the black, I was like, you know, I don't really want more than that. So that's where you can get really creative. That's it, guys. We have covered so much. I really seriously have had so much fun making them. I can't stop, and I hope you feel the same. Watch this in slow motion and message me if you have any questions. Wait, I'm going to make a really ugly transition into being back on camera. Abby, you want to put the schedule up? Let's see.
Yes, I will do. All right. Hello.
We did it.
We did it. That was so great. You are a fantastic crochet instructor. And I am amazed that in just about an hour, I know how to crochet a shaped shoulder shrug from start to finish.
Yay.
That's just so cool. So thank you so much on behalf of all of us here at the Great Bead Extravaganza. We just want to say thank you for being a part of this and for sharing our wonderful creative event with your fan base as well. And Em, do you want to tell the folks who are watching where they can find you, what platforms you're on?
I was going to say, if you go to my Instagram page, the other night, Abby pointed out that in my bio, you'll find a link tree that will show you my Ravelry page. If you have a Ravelry, all my knitters and crocheters, you will probably find some very old pregnant with my children making booties pictures on my Ravelry. But it'll show you everywhere I am: Ravelry, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Patreon, Etsy, all the places. And then you can definitely do this from this video, but the written pattern and full video tutorial comes out at the end of the week. So, but please don't hesitate to ask me a question.
Hey, Em, can we ask you to post a link to that into the Great Bead Extravaganza Facebook group whenever you
Yes, that'll be
that
in a couple days. Yes.
Yay.
Yay.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, everybody. Any final words, Em?
That's it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Guys, stay tuned for Christy Friesen. She'll be on at 6 p.m. Central. And thank you to everybody who learned how to crochet with us today. Have a great evening.
Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.